Hello everyone, I'm Bruffy1322 and this video is going to show the fastest fully upgraded vans in terms of top speed. We're quickly going to go over the slowest vehicles right now, and as always the position counter is in the top left with the actual top speed the van achieved in the top right. This video only focuses on straight line performance, so if you're interested in racing where braking, cornering and acceleration are all relevant, check the link in the description for the lap time testing series. And if you want to know more information about this testing, including the extent to which it's accurate and how useful it is for you personally, have a read of the full description as everything that you need is in there. So back again with the vans class, and they're not very quick, these top speeds, as you might expect. Obviously we saw the Surfer right at the bottom once again, just as it was for the lap times, with a top speed of 67 miles per hour. That is insanely slow. That is sort of almost half the top speed of the quickest vehicles in the game, quickest land vehicles that is. So the Surfer is really slow, and once again, you know, it is the slowest fully upgradable vehicle in the entire game. Now obviously we've got the same sort of vehicles in this bottom half, you know, the Journey, the Camper, the Taco van, these vehicles that you can't actually upgrade, they're all at the bottom, but there is a little bit of a shake-up of the order with some of the vehicles, one of those being the Armoured Boxville. So the Armoured Boxville is down here in 16th place with a top speed of 87 miles per hour, and that's quite a big change from what it was in terms of lap time, where it was up in the top 5. So that shows that the Armoured Boxville gets all of its lap time from cornering ability, its traction in the corners, and probably some acceleration as well, rather than its top speed, which is actually not that great. So up into 15th place here we've got the Pony with a 90.5 mile per hour top speed, and all of these vehicles that we're seeing here are vehicles that you can't upgrade. So these are all the stock versions of vehicles, because there's no actual way to add a turbo, add engine, add top speed, anything like that. There's no way to do that with these, so that's why these are sort of all further down the order, as we're seeing here, before we get to the top 10. And it's actually, at this point, it is only the Surfer that is outside of that area, because when we get to the top 10 we will start seeing vehicles that you can upgrade. And in terms of top speed, obviously upgrades in Los Santos Customs do increase top speed as well, and that is shown here as well. Obviously the Burrito and the Lost version of the Gang Burrito are both exactly the same in terms of top speed, because they're both the same vehicle. The Yuga Classic here does a little bit better than it does in terms of lap time, showing that it's traction that really lets it down for lap time, with a 91 mile per hour top speed. They're all pretty close, these top speeds so far. And then we take a little bit of a jump in terms of mile per hour to the Speedo, and obviously then we'll have the Clown Van, because the Speedo and the Clown Van are exactly the same vehicle. They do get exactly the same top speed with a 94.8. And as we come into the top 10, we're going to have quite a few vehicles that are all very close. Even the top 15 or so vehicles were all very close, all above that 90 mile per hour top speed. But we're only going to see one vehicle at the very end of the video that actually breaks 90 miles per hour, breaks past 100 miles per hour, and is higher than that. So it's interesting, the Vans class is overall very slow, especially considering that we only have one vehicle that gets over 100 miles per hour. It is overall a very slow class. But yeah, coming into 9th place, now we start to see some vehicles that you can actually upgrade in Los Santos Customs. The Minivan is the first one of those with 94.8 miles per hour, exactly the same as the Clown Van and the Speedo. So it just goes to show that a fully upgraded minivan has exactly the same top speed as a Clown Van and a Speedo that you can't upgrade. So if you were able to add engine and transmission and turbo to the Clown Van or the Speedo, they would go significantly quicker. Now in 8th place we've got the Bobcat XL. Does certainly a lot better, well, at least a little bit better in terms of top speed than it did in terms of lap time, but it's generally about the same area, because this is kind of the bottom end of the upgradable vehicles. Most of the time upgradable vehicles are going to be a lot quicker than stock vehicles, no matter how good the stock vehicle is, because you get so much more from the upgrades. So yeah, and like I said earlier, with the shake-up of the order, that is shown here with the Minivan Custom, which did actually make it up to 4th place in terms of lap time, but in terms of top speed it is only in 7th place with 95.5. Obviously a little bit quicker than the regular minivan, but it's obviously the fact that it gets a spoiler that gives it more cornering ability is what makes it better in terms of the lap time testing. So in 6th place we've got the Yuga, an all-round not too bad van. It is a good few seconds off in terms of lap time, it's a good few mile per hour off in terms of top speed, but you know, as an all-round van, the Yuga isn't too bad, and it does have a certain number of decent modifications visually as well, so it's quite interesting in that respect. But ultimately, a lot of the vehicles that we're seeing here are not really worth talking about if you're thinking about a top speed van race. No, I don't know how often you're going to be doing that, but a top speed van race will only ever be dominated by one vehicle, which we'll see at the end. But the Bison isn't too bad there with the top. We're into the top 5 now with a 98.5, and the 4 of the top 5 are actually very, very close in terms of top speed, as we'll see. We had the Bison in 5th place, and then we've got the Rumpo Custom in 4th place, 98.8, so only a tiny bit quicker than the Bison in terms of top speed. This is what lets the Rumpo Custom down, because its top speed really isn't on the pace of the ultimate #1 vehicle in the class. But it's not too bad, at least it's still up there in 4th place, so it's at least relatively competitive. And then quite interesting that we've got in 3rd and 2nd places the Paradise and the Rumpo, which, like I said in the lap time testing video, are exactly the same under the hood. They have exactly the same performance, therefore exactly the same top speed as well, of 99.3 miles per hour, so only, again, a few miles per hour quicker than the Rumpo Custom. 2nd, 3rd, 4th and 5th are all very, very close together, but it is interesting that the Rumpo and the Paradise, basically the same vehicle like I said, have jumped quite significantly from their lap time position to 2nd and 3rd in the class in terms of top speed, and they really don't do too badly at all. 99.3 is the closest any van gets to hitting 100 miles per hour apart from the #1 van in the game, and that is obviously, as you might expect, the Gang Burrito. The Gang Burrito is easily the quickest van in the game with a top speed of 105.3 miles per hour. It is much, much quicker than any other van in terms of top speed, and this is where that interesting balance comes in with the van's class. Although the Rumpo Custom is better in terms of cornering, the Gang Burrito is much, much quicker in terms of top speed. That's a 6 mile per hour difference almost. It's quite significant, and that's why when you have a track that has more straights, the Gang Burrito would be a better option. When you have a track that has more corners, then the Rumpo Custom would be a better option. But overall, on a fairly balanced track, they are relatively close together. So it is interesting that we do have that balance with the Vans class. It's something that we don't have on a lot of other classes. A lot of they're dominated by one vehicle, and although the top speed portion of the Vans class is completely dominated by one vehicle, there really isn't anything that you should use apart from the Gang Burrito. Although that is the case for the top speed part, because there's this natural balance of the Rumpo Custom being better in corners, it does bring about that overall balance to the class. And something that I didn't mention yesterday is that the Bison is actually not too bad in some situations, because it does have a very powerful engine behind it, and it does have some good acceleration. So although the Bison is most of the time off the pace, it can at least compete in some situations. So yeah, the Vans class isn't too bad at all really, but ultimately when it comes to top speed, the Gang Burrito is way ahead of everything else in the class, and it's the only vehicle in the class to break 100 miles per hour, and it is just ultimately the only one that you need when it comes to top speed van races. So that's pretty much it. Obviously remember to read the description for more info, comment with your thoughts, like the video if you enjoyed or found it helpful, and subscribe for more. Thank you all so much for watching. I really do appreciate it, and I'll see you next time.